Welcome. And Baruch Ata Adonai Eloheinu Melech HaOlam Asher Kitshanu B'mitzvotav V'tzivanu La'asok B'divrei Torah.
Amen.
I'm going to go ahead and share the screen. It's there. So we are still, remember, Moses and God having this conversation, Moses pleading with God to spare the Jewish people, and basically arguing that if God wipes them out in one fell swoop, that people are going to say it was because God was not capable of bringing the Israelites into the land of Canaan and defeating the Canaanites, despite the fact that clearly he had defeated the Egyptians. So slach na la'avon ha'am hazeh, please forgive the iniquity of this people, kegodel chastecha, according to the greatness of your kindness, or according to your great kindness. U'cha'asher nasata la'am hazeh, and as you have borne this, or put up with, right, this nation, Mimitzrayim v'ad from Egypt up until now. And there is no Rashi on that. So we're going to keep going. Vayomer Hashem salachti kidvarecha. And God says, Hashem says to him, I have forgiven according to your words. So it's interesting because according to Moses's words, what was the main argument that Moses had was that God shouldn't wipe out the Israelites in one fell swoop. In one fell swoop. So in other words, God is taking Moses at his word, okay? So there is still going to be justice, but on the execution of justice, but there is going to be time taken over this, and we'll see. So, ki devarecha, bishvil, so it says, this is how Rashi interprets this, bishvil ma she'amarta, and it says, on account of what you said, pen yomru, lest they say, this was your argument, Moses, mi bilti yacholet Hashem, that God was not capable of this. Va'ulam, however, chai ani, as I live, in other words, taking an oath, vayimalech vod Hashem et kol haaretz, and the glory of Hashem fills the entire earth. Okay, Rashi, well, wait a second. Okay, yes, va'ulam. So he says, kamo aval, meaning however. Zot eheselahem, this I will do to them. Chai ani, as I live, lashon shvuah. This is the language of an oath, of taking an oath. Keshem she'ani chai, just as I am alive, I exist. Uchvodi, and my glory, my presence, right? Yimale et kol haaretz, fills the entire earth. So the word kavod, which we translate as glory, has the connotation of divine immanence, and you could set that apart from kadosh. Kadosh means separated, unique, differentiated. So that is a word associated with divine transcendence, how God is beyond everything. And the word kavod has to do with the idea of God being present in everything. Excuse me. So this, I mean, this couldn't make it clearer, right? That God's glory fills all the earth. And I just as I'm reflecting on that, as to why using the term glory, that if you think about it, everything that not only exists, but that moves, that processes, everything is actually doing that only because God sustains that possibility. And interestingly enough, that has to do with our being able to see that if we think it's because we have there is a divine element that allows us to think. In other words, so there's also that connection both between the beyond, in other words, over and above, and the fact that it wouldn't be happening without it, which is, of course, that sense of God's presence being in every single element of existence. So anyway, just as this is true about the divine, kach akayem lahem, so I will establish for them, ki kol ha'anashim haroim, and that is, of course, Rashi is going on with the sentences in the Torah, that all the people who saw, etc. Im yir'u et haaretz, so if they will, in other words, they won't, and Rashi's going to tell us, okay, if they will see the land of Canaan is what they're referring to. In other words, people who saw my miracles, who witnessed my presence, who shouldn't think twice about my being there for them, they will not see, whether they will. This is how it's just said in Hebrew. They will, I vow, they will not see the land. Hare ze mikra misuras. So Rashi says that the scriptural sentences here are kind of mixed up. They're mixed up. And so what he tries to do is put them in correct order. So, Chai Ani. So this is how we would understand it in correct order. Chai Ani, as I live, ki chol ha'anashim, that all those people, im yir'u et haaretz, will not ever see the land of Israel, of Canaan. Uchvodi, and my glory, my presence, yimale et kol haaretz, will fill the entire earth, shelo yitchalel shmi, that my name should not be profaned, b'magefa hazot, in this plague, lemor, so that people would say, mi bilti acholet Hashem, that it was, in other words, so that my name not be profaned when people say that it was because Hashem wasn't capable, lahaviyam, to bring them into the land of Canaan. Shelo amitem pitom, in that I will not destroy them, I will not kill them in one fell swoop, ki ish echad, as one person, ela beichur mem shana, but in over the delay of 40 years, ma'at ma'at, little by little. Back the page a little bit. Ki chol ha'anashim, that is all the people, haroim et kvodi, who see my presence, my glory, ve'et ototai, and my signs, asher asiti b'mitzrayim, which I performed in Egypt, Uvamidbar, and in the wilderness, Vainasu oti, and they have tested me, ze eser pamim, indeed 10 times, velo shamu bekoli, and they did not hearken to my voice. They didn't listen to my voice. Let's see if there's a Rashi on this, and there is. Vainasu, and they tested. Kamashma'o, and Rashi says that's exactly what we're talking about, that they were testing God. Ze eser pamim, these 10 times. Shnayim bayam, 2 times at the Red Sea, right? Ushnayim baman, and 2 times involving the manna, right? Where God had told them what to do and they didn't, told them not to collect more than an omer, and they collected more than an omer. God told them not to collect 2 omers Friday, and that there would be none over Shabbat, that it would be preserved over Shabbat, and some of them went out on Shabbat to collect manna. Ushnayim baslav, and 2 times with the partridges or the quail. So exactly what we're talking about here, I can't be specific, v'chule, etc. So we've already got 2, 4, 6, and apparently there are 3 more, or 4 more, excuse me, 4 more. So if we were to check out the tractate Arachin in the Talmud, they tell you, they discuss there exactly what 10 times God is referring to. So the im yiru et haaretz, right? If they will see the land, in other words, they won't see the land. Asher nishbati la'avotam, which I swore to their fathers. B'chol min na'atzai, and all those who provoke me or who lo yiruha, they will not see it. So we'll see that while only one person is mentioned as an exception to this, we know for a fact that Joshua also survived, and we would have to assume that perhaps, even though the Torah might state it in explicit terms, maybe a few others also did. That maybe there were just a few others who, the minority though, clearly. So, talking about human nature. Im yiru, lo yiru, right? Lo yiruha, they will not see her. Lo yiru et haaretz. So the her refers to the land. Lo yiruha, they will not see the land. Yes. Yiruha, there's the word. Yiru, they will see ha, and here it refers to a feminine, the object. Va'avdi Chalev, however, my servant Kalev, Ekev Haita Ruach Acheret Imor, on account of because he had another spirit with himself, or a different spirit with him. Vayimale Acharai, and he fully followed me. He followed me fully. Vahavi Otiv El Haaretz, I shall bring him to the land Asher Ba Shama, which he had gone to. He was one of the 12 spies, and he visited a particular part. That's the place, Vizaor Yorishena, and his seed will drive out the people who live in that particular locale. Ruach Acheret, a different spirit. And this is from B'midbar Rabbah. Shtei ruchot. In other words, he had another spirit, meaning one spirit and another. Shtei ruchot, two different spirits. Achat bapeh, one expressed in his mouth, v'achat balev, and the other in his heart. Lamaraglim amar, to the other spies he said, Ani imachem ba'etzah. He said, I will be with you in what you suggest and what you are telling people to do, the advice you're giving them. Uvelibo, but in his heart, haya lomar haemet. It was his intention to speak the truth. And it was through by this means, haya bo koach, he had the power lahashtikam, to silence the other 10 spies. Kamoshinemar, as is stated by Yahos Kalev, and Kalev silenced. In other words, he silenced the other 10 spies. And we have read this already, and the reason that he was able to silence them after they said what they said, Shayus Furim, because they were under the impression, they were convinced, Shayomar Kamotam, that he was going to say exactly what they had said. Zehu Shene'emar, and this is referenced in what is said, the Sefer in the book of Joshua, chapter 14, Va'ashiv oto davar, and I gave back word, ka'asher im levavi, as was in my heart, right? Velo kasher im pi, but it wasn't what I had actually said. So, yep, I mean, he used duplicitous words in order to get what he needed to get, and it looks as if the Torah is justifying this behavior, given the fact that the 10 spies were clearly up to mischief and wickedness, and if he needed to trick them, since they were acting in this kind of way, it appears as if this was justified in order to do what he needed to accomplish. Vayimale acharai, and he followed me fully. Vayimale et libo, he filled his heart acharai, to follow me. V'zemi krakatzar, and this Vayimale acharai is just an abbreviated scriptural verse because it leaves out et libo, his heart. Asher Ba'ashama, which he had come to, and this is referring to Hebron. It mentions this, Hebron tinaten lo, that I will give him the area of Hebron. Yorishena, so he says, he ketargumo, as is translated in the Aramaic. let's find the place on Kaf Daled. Yeah, Yat Rechina. Yat Rechina. Oh, yeah. Yat Rechina. So what does that mean? Yat Rechina. Yorishu et ha'anakim. They will drive out the giants, the et ha'am asherba, and the nation that is within it. Ve'ein letargumo, and one should not translate this as yiratena, which would mean to inherit. Ella b'makom bimkom yirashena. Right? You can't, which would be in the place of inherited. And it doesn't mean that. Rashi's telling us it means drive them out. That's what it actually means. And we'll stop right here.
Rabbi, I just wanted to point out we have just one verse
Okay.
left of this Aliyah.
Right. There is, however, a Rashi on that. So
Yeah, short Rashis.
yeah. So I'm going to leave that for now. And God willing,
Okay.
tomorrow morning, I'm hoping to meet you all. It's Wednesday, but it should be fine because Miles no longer has
Zoom willing.
Yes, Zoom willing, exactly, as we've discovered. Right, exactly. Yes. Okay, so I'm gonna put that in there and stop the share and end the recording.